Hello, I hope you're having an amazing day. Today's conversation is going to be spicy. I really want to talk about how emotional eating and being in self-sabotaging behavior with food and your body can block manifestation, attract more of what you don't want, bring in more lack. And I also want to talk about the fears of investing, because I get that some people, you know what, it's not the right time to invest a substantial amount of money on your journey, but for some of you, you know that fear is the only thing standing in the way of you healing your relationship with food. So I'm really excited to dive into this today. And of course, as always, feel free to comment, leave questions, share comments below, what's resonating and you know what you connect with. So how does emotional eating impact our manifestation? I'm going to break this down, and I really observed this when I was going through my own self-sabotage with food and my own like cycle with ups and downs of like restriction and then binging, and yeah, you're scattered. So when you're emotionally eating, you're binging and purging, like whatever the self-sabotaging behavior is, the whole behavior of it lowers your frequency. And what I mean by that is, so we're energy. Like when you rub your head on a balloon and your hair goes all staticky, like that's like the electricity. Like I really believe our thoughts create our future and we create our reality. So if we're constantly in this self-sabotaging behavior, we have more negative emotions. You're more upset, you're more stressed, you're more angry, you can be more frustrated because you're self-sabotaging with food. No one's really very happy after they self-sabotage with food. Nobody's very excited and happy if they're like, well, I binged again. Yeah, I feel so great. No, you're bloated, you're gassy, you're inflamed, you're in pain, you have a headache, you're dehydrated, you're worried about that maybe I've gained weight. Like that's the dynamic of usually what's going on in our minds. So essentially what ends up happening is maybe you've taken stride to like take better care of yourself. You're feeling better. You are eating better. You're being more mindful. Maybe you're doing more self-care. Your mood is better, right? And then you start attracting things that you want into your life. You attract a better job, a raise. Your business manifests more money, more clients. You attract healthier relationships. You attract a really beautiful romantic relationship, or like amazing things just start happening for you. But then for whatever reason, something triggers you to go into self-sabotage with food. Maybe you got on the scale and didn't like the number that you saw, and then you got angry and frustrated. Maybe you had a stressful week and had too much going on, and that triggered you to go to food. And as soon as you go to food and you self-sabotage, yes, this is getting recorded. Thank you for asking. So as soon as we go into self-sabotage with food, guess what? We're hurting ourselves. We're hurting our bodies. I have to be lovingly honest, but I have to be honest. When we use food, we're punishing. We're hurting ourselves. Binge eating, emotional eating, like binging and purging, like these are acts of self-hate, self-loathing. You're welcome. They come from a place of shame and anger and guilt and fear, but we have to be honest, we have to be real about talking about this, because when you are in these self-sabotaging behaviors, you are hurting yourself on every level. You're hurting yourself emotionally, you're hurting yourself energetically, spiritually, physically, on all levels. You are hurting yourself if you are doing this. And I bring it up not to shame you or to make you feel bad, but for you to see the reality of the significant impact and cost that continuing to hurt yourself has, because it is significant. And the more you self-sabotage with food, the more you lower your frequency, your energy signature. Hi Faith, welcome. It's nice to see you today. You lower your frequency, which means you go from feeling happy and like high vibe and joy and gratitude and content and peace and grounded. Like these are high frequency emotions. And when we're experiencing these higher frequency emotions, we manifest and attract everything we want so easily. We become a manifesting magnet. And once we self-sabotage with food, we overbook our schedule, we're overwhelmed, we people please again, we're picking our bodies apart, and we're in negative self-talk. Our frequency drops because now we're feeling anger, jealousy, comparison, fear, anxiety, worry, irritation, frustration, sadness, depression, like low frequency emotions. Shame and guilt are two of the lowest frequency emotions that we can feel. and they really exhaust us. So the more negative emotion we feel, the more tired we feel. Like, tell me if this is resonant and tell me if this is making sense, because I want to make sure that it does. But the more negative emotion that you feel, do you notice you feel more tired? You feel more drained, versus when you're happy or you're content or you're feeling gratitude or you're in joy, like you have more energy, you're more open, you just feel like giving love to the world, right? But when we're in these low frequency emotions, the ego's in control. The negative self-sabotaging voice that's like, well, you're already down, you might as well just eat to give yourself a pick-me-up or reward yourself. You've had a bad day, right? So when we're in these negative emotions and we're in them regularly, it's a lot easier to regularly self-sabotage. So when we're in lower frequency, we are tending to do more self-sabotaging behaviors, like emotional eating, like binge eating, like binge watching Netflix, mindlessly scrolling on social media, just shutting down. We just shut down and we want to numb, distract, and avoid feeling and avoid our reality. Like, this is the honest truth. You know me, I don't sugarcoat it. Yeah, I'm glad that this is relating for you. But the problem is we drop our frequency, and then maybe you went from manifesting everything that you wanted. Maybe you'll start to notice a pattern, like when you're taking better care of yourself, everything flows in your life more easily. And then as soon as you get overwhelmed and overbooked and you get back into the people pleasing, or the number doesn't change on the scale and you fail on your diet, you go into emotional eating, you go into negative self-talk, you're frazzled, your energy is more chaotic, your frequency drops. Now you're manifesting stuff you don't want. Parking tickets, fender benders, extra bills. You want to avoid looking at your bank account because maybe you're stressed about money. Maybe you have more fights and conflict in your relationships. Maybe you attract, misaligned relationships, romantic relationships or friendships, and you attract people with a lot of drama into their life, because what you have to know about this is you're a mirror. And if you're in a lot of negative self-talk, you don't feel worthy, you're not willing to be emotionally unavailable, or you're emotionally unavailable to yourself, you don't feel worthy, and you're in self-sabotaging behavior, observe if you're attracting people like that into your life. Because I can tell you, I noticed this a lot when I was struggling. So a couple of examples. Number one, when I was struggling with food addiction and binge eating and I was dating, all the men I was attracting had alcohol issues, drinking problems. No surprise, because I was struggling with addiction. Why wouldn't I be mirroring and attracting others who were in the same boat? Number two, I was attracting men who were emotionally unavailable. None of them felt good enough. They were all scared to get into a committed relationship because they didn't feel good enough. Guess what? I didn't feel good enough. I was emotionally unavailable to myself, and I was hoping that someone else would fix me, right? Oh, well, if I just get into this relationship, it'll be enough motivation for me to not do this anymore. So we'll often rely on other people unconsciously that well, if I have a child or I get in a relationship or I start this business, that'll be the motivation I need to stop hurting myself and stop self-sabotaging. But nothing outside of you is going to fill your own void and help you heal this. Does that make sense? Have you noticed this? Lisa says, yeah, that was my life 25 years ago, right? Yeah. So I was attracting all these guys with drinking problems, and then friends, a lot of my friends were very heavily focused on looks and superficial, and it was all about looking a certain way, and they wouldn't leave their house without makeup. And one of my best friends actually had a serious drinking problem, and it took time to really see it, but I was like, wow, I'm using food, she's using alcohol, and really seeing it. And then noticing as I started to heal, we drifted apart because I was dealing with my stuff, she wasn't. That's fine though. It's what unfolds. But you're a mirror. And so the more self-sabotage I got into, the parking tickets would show up. My bank account would drain more easily. I'd be more frustrated. I'd get into more conflict. I would blame more people for my problems rather than owning and taking responsibility and going, I've got to figure this out. And my frequency would drop. And then I would attract a lot more lack into my life. And then I would have less money. And then I would go into more worry about money. And people say, well, what does money have to do with your relationship with food? It has everything to do with your relationship with food, because often we're in a lack mentality with food, going I don't think I'm going to have enough. I don't think I'm going to have enough chocolate or ice cream, so I better get more, because if this is the last time I'm going to binge, I can't run out of food. So for an I don't have enough mentality with food, you're probably in an I don't have enough money mentality as well. And then when it comes to considering investing in yourself to break free of all of this, you completely shut down. You're like, that's too much money. What if it doesn't work, right? But then you can go on the vacation, you can hire the personal trainer, you can have $100 a week Starbucks habit, but you continue to let fear and lack block you from investing in the support that can help you break free of this for the rest of your life. Yeah, Lisa says, I was thinking, why are they an addict, not seeing I was dealing with an addiction too? Exactly. Yes. We're mirrors. We are mirrors. And you may go, no, that can't be. No, it's true. You manifest what you are. You create your own reality, and your thoughts create your future and what you attract. It is across the board. It's everything. And that's why it's so important that we start to be aware of, number one, like, I'm a mirror, and who I am, I put out into the world and I will receive back. So if you feel like you're attracting a lot of dramatic people in your lives, people with addiction issues, people who project, who don't take good care of themselves, who are emotionally unavailable, but you're emotionally unavailable to yourself and you don't love yourself, and your ego is always wanting to get a rise out of people, and you're wanting to get caught up in conflict, or you're in self-sabotage and procrastinating, doing your deeper work, you might keep attracting other people who are in the same boat. And then the other thing is the lower our frequency, the more lack we attract. And so from a business standpoint, like in your career or in your business or whatever avenue it is that you make money through, and I see this because I have a lot of clients who are business owners, and I do some work with business freedom coaching, and I'm seeing this, and they're seeing these patterns where if they're self-sabotaging with food, their money flow that month drops significantly. Because number one, they're flustered and frazzled and bloated and tired and don't feel well and being so hard on themselves. So how can you possibly show up the way you want to in your business, especially if you have clients? How can you possibly show up the way you want to, feeling confident in your body, if you're going to speak, right, live in person, and people are seeing you and you're insecure and you don't want to be seen? Right? How can you possibly grow your business if you're constantly in a low frequency because you're in self-sabotage with food? And not only is it the sabotage itself that lowers your frequency, and then you attract lack and misaligned partnerships and collaborations, the actual quality of food that you're eating lowers your frequency. Because if you're eating Oreos and you're eating all these big box brands of things that are literally made in a lab with ingredients you can't produce in a shelf life that is sometimes like longer than us, right? Like huge red flags. These ingredients to me are not food anymore. They're chemicals and products that we're not supposed to be ingesting, especially in high volume or on a regular basis. And so what ends up happening is now all of a sudden, we're not only in self-sabotaging behavior and negative thoughts that are lowering our frequency, we're now consuming food-like products that also lower our frequency. So the more processed food you're ingesting, fast foods, refined sugars, things with MSG, aspartame, things that were heavily processed and made in a lab, you eat that food is such low frequency that further lowers your frequency. It gives you more brain fog. It lowers your energy. It disconnects you and your channel from the universe. Like if you channel and you're like, you get a lot of ideas, right? When you're feeling really good, but then you're not feeling good. And then you're like, I'm not booking new clients. I'm not making as much money. My relationships aren't thriving as well. You're literally shutting off your intuition. You're shutting off your light, and you're lowering your frequency. And a lot of these food-like products that are made in the lab, I like to call it, because they pretty much are, that are giving you these massive dopamine hits and these pleasure responses, but then you feel like absolute garbage afterward. Well, guess what? They're designed to do this because they make you addicted, they make you reliant, and anything that's made in a lab or that's been heavily processed lowers your frequency. And the lower your frequency, the poorer mood you're in. You have more anxiety, more worry, more anger, more fear, frustration, stress, overwhelm. Maybe you're even depressed because you've been suppressing your emotions. So the more processed food we're eating, we lower our frequency, and that lowers our ability to manifest. Something that I noticed when I first started my business is I wasn't emotionally eating anymore, but I noticed if there was months where I wasn't as consistent with mindful eating, and I was eating out more and drinking more alcohol, my money flow would drop because my frequency was lower, because I wasn't treating myself as good. And the more consistent I got, and it's not about perfection, it's about finding a balance and a happy medium, but the more consistent I got with self-care, the more consistent I got with food prep and mindful eating, and having balance with mindful indulgence, the more steady and increase I would see in my abundance in my business and growth, and attracting aligned partnerships, attracting my soulmate, love relationship, because I healed. And so I shifted my mirror. I shifted what I was attracting because I did my deeper work. So if you're tired of lack and attracting the dramatic relationships and the unhealthy partnerships and the emotionally unavailable, you've got to be willing to do your deeper work and show up for yourself. It's the honest truth. And if you are like, I really want to do this, right? But you're not willing to show up for yourself, and you keep letting fear talk you out of doing this deeper work, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. You have to be willing to show up for yourself. And that's why I encourage you to hire someone and invest in support. Because when you do that, you have someone to hold you accountable, to support you through the ups and the downs and the discomfort and the celebrations and everything in between. Because I find if we are so deep into this and our ego so strong, that's the part of you that wants you to be afraid of investing, that wants you to stay stuck, that doesn't want you to change, that wants you to just keep doing the same things that aren't working, right? And keep receiving the same results that are driving you nuts, right? The ego loves that because the ego thrives off your suffering, and the ego wants to be in control, versus you fully claiming your power, which is confidence, worthiness, getting rid of the people pleasing, learning how to love yourself, overcoming self-sabotaging behavior. Like, you deserve to have all of these things, but you have to be willing to show up for yourself and potentially invest in getting support from someone who can help you. Because this is the thing, okay? You fear investing in yourself. You fear going on this journey because you are afraid you could fail. You're afraid, what if it doesn't work? What if I spend the money and it doesn't work? I've already spent so much money and things aren't working, or, I can't handle failing again. Number one, you're going to fail on the journey. Failure is inevitable. It is a teacher. Failure is not a bad thing. You learn from it, you take the lessons, and you can move forward. You just need to shift your perception of what failure is, because it is actually a good thing. Perfection doesn't exist, and it's not going to happen on the journey. That's the honest truth. My clients go through ups and downs all the time, but I'm holding them through the ups and downs. If they fail, they get to move forward. Okay, so we can get rid of that fear of failure right away. Fear of the unknown. Well, what is it going to look like? What if it doesn't work? Guess what? If you pick the aligned person to support you, and you show up and you feel safe in their space, you will get the change you seek. I always tell that to my clients. So like, what if it doesn't work? Like, what's your success rate? And I say, honestly, my success rate is like 99.9% because my clients show up. They show up to the sessions, they ask questions, they reach out for support because they really want to make the change, because they've been suffering and struggling for years and decades, and they are so over it, and they are tired of it running their lives. They're so tired of it running their lives. And so that's why it's so important to get support sometimes, so that we can be held and we can have accountability through the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the messy, the uncomfortable, the celebration. It's so important. And I think it's also really important that we feel safe in the space, that we feel comfortable, that we can share whatever we want to, and that we don't feel shamed or judged. That's so important. I've had so many women come to me with like, I've seen this therapist, I've seen this dietitian, I've seen this person, and not to put any names out, but I've just heard the stories, and they're being judged because they're not losing weight. They're being judged because they emotionally ate again, even though they've been going to this person to get support with it. So if you felt like you've been judged or hurt, or you feel like, I don't feel safe opening up, choose someone that you feel safe opening up with. That is really, really important. And that is something that I really pride myself on, because I want you to feel safe. This is a vulnerable journey, but it's an empowering one. And so if you feel safe, you're going to show up, you're going to heal, and that's going to completely change your life. So the other big fear, the elephant in the room, is the fear of investing, like spending the money. And it's not just a financial investment, it's an emotional investment. Like, you're investing your emotional health into this. There's time invested into this, right? You're putting a lot of yourself into it. And I know it can feel uncomfortable investing a substantial amount of money. Trust me, I've invested multiple 5 figures many times in my business, and more in smaller amounts over time through like healing. I get it. I get that investment can be scary, but the ego will hold the financial monetary investment against you and go, ooh, yeah, that's too much. That's ridiculous. You don't need to pay that much. That's covered by insurance. You could get this, right? But the problem is, you're already doing the thing that's covered by insurance, and it's not helping, right? So we have to be willing to admit, like, if I've been literally going to see someone for years or decades and nothing has changed, doesn't discount that they might be an amazing person, but I probably need to take a different approach, because when I'm working with someone, they're healing their relationship with food in 6, 12, 18 months. It's not taking like years and years and decades. So you want to find someone who can really help you get where you want to go, obviously at your pace, but that it shouldn't take 10 years to heal your relationship with food and body image. I guess it could, but I'm all for let's do it sooner so you have more freedom and happiness, right? But when you think of investing $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to address a habit that's been drowning you, consuming you, controlling your life for years and decades, what are the thoughts and emotions that come up? Is it fear? Is it shock? Is it worry? Is it frustration? Is it like, how? Or is like, you know what? That feels good, because that's going to help me have skin in the game. That's going to help me commit, right? If I were to just charge you $100 for a 6-month program, you don't have skin in the game. You can just quit and not show up. And how is that going to help you heal your relationship with food, right? I want you to have skin in the game, and the value that I can give you is significant. You heal your relationship with food and make peace with your body. What kind of freedom does that give you? Yeah, it's an investment. How much time and money and energy have you wasted on quick fixes, diet gimmicks, points plans, personal trainers and gym memberships that you're not using, the multiple sizes of clothing in your closet, all the supplements and testing that nothing is changing because you're not addressing the root cause, which is the emotional eating, the binge eating, the binging and purging, the food addiction, right? Maybe you're going to see the therapist, but you're just sitting and you're talking about how you're feeling, but you're not given any direction. You're not given tools. You're not given support. You're not taught how to build awareness around your ego, or why you're triggered, or that you're a people pleaser and it's stemming from unworthiness, and that your hormone imbalances are fueling emotional eating. The goal is that, work with people that will help you connect all the dots. This is complex. Emotional eating is not a simple little thing to fix. It is complex. That's why I love it, because the goal is to help educate you so you feel empowered. Because I can tell you, like, I spent $50,000 in 5 years on quick fixes, binge foods, things that didn't work, right? My coaching does not cost anywhere near that, right? But it's like, how much have you spent financially in the last year, 5 years, 10 years plus? I guarantee you, investing in yourself truly will cost less. You heal sooner. And then you have the rest of your life to be free of this. You have the habits, tools, mindsets, and awarenesses for the rest of your life, which to me is priceless. Yes, I get we all have our emotional, money stories, our money insecurities. I get that. And for some people right now, investing $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 is not a thing, and that's okay. And that's why there's the podcast, and there's these lives, and there's $55 master classes and memberships and things that are smaller to give you so much value there. However, if you have the money, if you can make the investment, or someone that can help you make the investment, like, this is all that's in the way. Fear. And guess what? This fear, it's costing you a lot. But this is all it is. It's that flimsy, but it feels that strong and that intense in our mind. Fear freezes us. And when we're on the breakthrough and the brink of taking a step to do something to really heal, like healing your relationship with food, your body image, balancing your digestion and hormones for good, like having freedom and body freedom and confidence and love, think of the positive ripple that has in your relationship with yourself, first off. Stopping the self-hate and the self-sabotage. Think of how much money you save on like food and takeout and binge foods. Think of how much time you save not fussing over your weight and your body. Think of how much time and energy you save not having to be a slave to the scale and the next diet, because you've learned how to eat mindfully. You're in tune with your body. Your cravings go away. And this is not all too good to be true. This is what happens to my clients. This is what happened to me. And I've worked with over 1,400 women now to gain this. So I feel really confident in my abilities, but it's just like, we've got to look at this word, this emotion, this false evidence appearing real, and we have to be willing to go, you know what, fear, I see you, but I'm done letting you make the call. I'm done letting fear be the reason why I continue to struggle with emotional eating, with binge eating, with binging and purging, with food addiction, with my body image struggles, with my overbooked schedule, my people pleasing. I'm tired of letting fear be the reason why I am still struggling with my gut issues. And the same hormone imbalances keep getting worse, and I'm more tired, and my fertility isn't good, and my PMS and my menopause symptoms are getting worse, and my brain fog and my energy are getting worse, and I'm sleeping like crap. I'm tired of this being the reason why I am still tolerating all of this suffering, because the suffering is significant and I don't want you to suffer. I'm on this planet to help you heal, or whoever, plant the seeds and light the fires under the butts, because I'm tired of seeing so many women on this planet suffering when you don't need to be. But you need to stop letting fear make your decisions. Yes, it's an investment, but it could be one of the most life-changing, incredible investments that you ever make if it's what feels resonant for you. And it doesn't, that's fine. It's you being on your path, but I'm here to call it the elephant in the room, which is fear of investing financially, physically, and emotionally to gain food and body freedom. Because this is an invisible wall. So you get to acknowledge it and go, I see you, fear. I see you. But guess what? I acknowledge the fear and I move through it anyway, because it is an invisible wall. The fear doesn't have to keep you stuck. You are the only one tolerating letting fear keep you stuck. And then tolerating staying in the same self-sabotaging behaviors because you are letting fear and discomfort, which are normal parts of investing and doing something different and really doing the deeper work and showing up to do the deeper work. That's part of it. You're going to feel fear. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel nervous, but you're also going to be excited. And like, wow, I have hope. Like maybe I can do this, right? Because miracles happen when you choose a different path, when you decide to ditch the quick fixes and the diets and the scale and the counting and the measuring and the constant need to prove and people please and try to be perfect and make it look like your life is all together. When inside you're hurt, you're unhappy, you're disconnected, you're exhausted, you're bloated, you're tired, you're unhappy with your body. You don't need to stay in that. The miracles get to happen for you. The miracles of understanding and identifying and overcoming the emotional eating triggers. Getting rid of the food fears and the food vulnerabilities of like, if I have this food in the house, I lose control. That goes away. It truly does. See it with my clients all the time, same with me, right? You get to experience the miracle of learning how to stop people pleasing and saying no when you want to and asking for help. And it gets easier as you go. You get to experience the opportunity and the miracles of better digestion, getting to know your body better, understanding your hormone imbalances, understanding your ego and the limiting beliefs that your ego is continuing to feed you to keep you stuck. You get to understand and experience the miracles of confidence, true body connection, being in tune, being aware, deepening your connection with your intuition, raising your frequency, becoming a manifesting magnet, right? Like I've had so many conversations with women that are like, I know me continuing to struggle with this is one of the biggest reasons why I can't grow my business, why I'm not making more money, why I'm not manifesting the clients, because I don't want to show up when I'm bloated and I have self-sabotage and I don't feel confident. It's costing you so much financially, emotionally, with yourself, with your relationships, right? With your life experience. And one of the biggest costs is time. You cannot get the time back that you are continuing to spend obsessing over a number on the scale, obsessing about the calories, being upset that your body doesn't look the way you want her to yet, and that you're still struggling with emotional eating and binge eating and that you just need more willpower. You cannot get the time back. So why continue to invest so much energy into struggling and suffering with the things that you can address and overcome? Because you can't get the time back. But you can address it and overcome it and have such clear mentality and freedom in your mind that you're not having to worry about food all the time and your weight. And you can instead focus on being present with yourself, your life, your business, your career, your kids, your family, your spouse, attracting the loving relationship. You get to shift that, right? And if you're like, well, I'm already doing this, but it's not really working. Maybe I just need to try harder. Like if you've been doing some kind of support for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, why are you still doing it? Why not look at something different? Because you may need that, right? And some of you may be getting triggered and all the emotion. That's normal. I'm here to light the fires. I'm here to call you out. I'm here to shake up your ego so that you can see that it's not the true you, and we need to get fear out of the way so that you can move forward and you can get the support or do the thing that is going to help you build this freedom that you deserve. Because if you're drowning in emotional eating, if emotional eating and binge eating are controlling your life and they feel like they're consuming you, that is no way to continue to live. It is not. And I really encourage you to take a step of some kind to do something about it. So, emotional eating impacts our frequency. We manifest lack. We manifest things that we don't want. We manifest more physical symptoms. And the more physical symptoms we have, like bloating, low energy, brain fog, the lower our frequency, the more unhappy we are with our body. When it's not our body's fault, it is the ego and the mind that is controlling your behaviors and habits that is continuing to keep you in the cycle of suffering when you don't have to be. So, that is what I wanted to share today. If this is resonating with you, if you're like, holy crap, I needed that fire lit under my butt, I really want to consider getting support. I encourage you to either send me a message, leave a comment here with the word emotions if you would like to talk in the DMs about support. If you know you want to have a conversation and chat more about one-on-one support and what that looks like, you can go to amberapproved.ca and book a 30-minute body freedom call. It's $50 USD, and we will fill out an intake form. We'll talk through everything from today. Fear of investing. What's holding you back? What are you struggling with? Why can't you get where you want to go? How's your physical health, emotional health, etc.? And then I can talk to you about the programs that I offer and what is available, right? And see if that feels like a fit. And usually there's something for everybody, even if it's something that, you start with an intro something, right? So that is available. And if you want to have a conversation in the DMs about support, I'm happy to do that too. Just send me a DM, say hello, right? And I can share all the information for you. So I really want you to take away today, and you can journal on this, like, what is it costing me physically, emotionally, with my body, my symptoms, mentally, financially, to keep letting fear hold me back, keep letting fear of investment hold me back. And how is self-sabotage impacting what I'm attracting, what I'm manifesting? Even if I don't want it, if I'm attracting it, something within me is mirroring it and bringing it in. And so if you're not happy with that, what can you do to shift it? Okay, so you can journal on those things. These are great takeaways, great things to explore more and reflect on. And if you are ready to receive support, amberapproved.ca, schedule a consultation. It will walk you through the whole process. And I look forward to connecting with you and having a conversation with you and helping you lovingly get the fear out of the way so that you can make the best decision from your heart that is going to support your greatest good. This is your life. This is time. This is everything in your world. You deserve to have optimal health. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have healthy ways to cope with your stress. You deserve to stop fighting with your body and finally make peace with her. But in order to do that, sometimes we do have to work through the fear and actually invest and get support and stop thinking and assuming I just need to have more willpower and try harder. That's your ego. Your ego doesn't support your greatest good. So with that, I'm going to leave it at that. Amberapproved.ca. I also have the emotional eating quiz there that you can take that is free. And the podcast is available, the No Sugarcoating podcast. So you're welcome to listen to that too. It's a great free resource. Thank you for listening with me today and sitting with me as I dive through these topics and have these uncomfortable conversations. It's so important that we talk about this. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you again very soon.